And here we are at the start of year number 5 with your Nova Scotia Supernovas. There are a couple of players who I want to unload at the draft: Ellis, Pearson, and more. Obviously, if someone offers anything for Vlasic, I'll probably take it unless it's another bad contract, but I highly doubt anyone's going to be offering for Marc-Edouard Vlasic given his no movement clause and $7 million cap hit for only a one-star player. So I have a feeling we're stuck with him for one more year, but it's not a big deal considering he's only got 1 year left on his contract, but a roster spot that is being eaten up, so I would prefer to get him out of here if I can. But that's the key phrase, if I can, because it's going to be very difficult. So I think if we're making any moves this offseason, it's going to be in the form of a trade, and obviously we're going to be trading Ellis, Moore, Pearson. It just so happens that Eric Brandstrom is on the trade block for Ottawa. Definitely a very good offensive defenseman. Brandstrom would not be a bad idea, especially if I could get him for the likes of Pearson and Moore. Like if I package Pearson and Moore together, that might be a thing that we do. Yeah, they're probably looking to make space for Seamus Casey in the top 4. That's what I'm guessing. But if that's the case, why not move on from like Mike Riley or Artem Zub, you know? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud as to what I would do, but hey, Brandstrom's the one on their trade block, so I'm not going to argue. But I think I'll wait till the draft to make a trade for him just so that I know where everything stands draft pick-wise. Oh, and I was able to approach Aaron Kiviharju with a contract offer. Was not able to do that before, but since the year turned over to July 1st, I was able to offer Kiviharju. So that should be every prospect that I wanted on the team this year signed. And with that, let us move on to the draft lottery. All right, here we go. We have the 4th best odds at the first overall pick. Here we go. Number 17 will be the New York Islanders. At number 16 will be LA. 15 will be Chicago. 14 will be Seattle. 13 will be Pittsburgh. 12 will be Montreal. 11 will be Dallas. 10 will be Calgary. No movement yet. At number 9 will be Washington. 8 will be Pittsburgh. 7 will be Carolina. 6 will be Arizona. 5 will be Columbus. And at 4, your Nova Scotia Supernovas. So no movement at all here in this NHL entry draft until number 3 where Minnesota goes. So who will be number 1? It will be Detroit. All right, so here we go. Year 5 entry draft time. And in addition to our own pick at number 4, we also have Philly's pick, and that is at number 27. So here we go. Who is going first overall? That would be Bill Hildebrand to the Detroit Red Wings. He's got the 1-star ability, 5-star potential, looks mostly offensively based. And actually, what's interesting about him, he's listed as an agitator. Yeah, I guess so, with that aggression up there at 18. And at number 2 will be Michael Misa to the San Jose Sharks. Here's a look at him, a 1.5-star ability and a 4-star potential. From the looks of his ratings, he looks to be a playmaking center. And at number 3 will be Milan Karas to the Minnesota Wild. He's a 0.5-star ability and 3-star potential. Based off his ratings, he looks like an offensive defenseman, passing, puck handling, shooting range, and offensive read all pretty high up there. So who do we have at number 4? We certainly have some interesting options here. You have a 4.5-star goaltender, Tomas Masa, although he's only a 0.5-star ability. We already have Ivanov in goal, as well as Swayman, who admittedly had a pretty weak season this year as well as last year, but I have confidence in Ivanov, and Masa just seems like he's going to take a little bit to being NHL ready. So I don't want to waste the 4th overall pick on a goalie who may or may not turn out to be anything for us. I think I would rather take the likes of either Roger Mcqueen, Jonas Wu, or Victor Eklund. Yeah, Roger Mcqueen seems to be a 2-way forward, honestly. Nothing particularly weak or strong about him. Good puck handler, good defensively, good offensively. He's just very well-rounded. Projected to be picked at number 5, so it's definitely not a stretch to take him at number 4. 85 points last year in 66 games played with Brandon. Not a bad pick. There is also Victor Eklund. Good offensively, not as good defensively. He played in the SHL last year, had 35 points in 51 games played. Projected to be picked at number 10. And then there's Jonas Wu. Looks like a 2-way defenseman. He has him listed as a defensive defenseman, but I think he'll turn out to be better offensively based off the offensive read and puck handling. 50 points last year in 67 games played. Projected to be picked at 15. So as far as skaters go, those 3 are definitely the top 3 picks. Mentally, I would say I like Roger Mcqueen the best. Physically, they're all really very close. I mean, there's minimal difference. McQueen's the fastest, though, with 16 speed. That's really the only significant difference anywhere here between these 3. And then defensively, gotta give it to Wu, obviously being the defenseman. But as far as forwards go, Mcqueen definitely outclasses Eklund there. So if it's going to be a forward, it's going to be Mcqueen for sure. So I guess at this point, it's now between Mcqueen and Wu. Wu has more potential. He does have the 4-star potential. What are we looking like on defense as far as players who are like 26 or younger? Liljegren, Juricek, Odelius, Fascia, Kiviharju, Makarovasova. And then at forward, you have Nemestikov, Eriksson, Jaeger, Lotnia. I don't know, because McQueen's really good. He really is. But we do need defensemen more, I would say. I don't know. They're both really good. Like, I'm kind of stuck here, honestly. This is a real tough call. I like them both equally. Honestly, I do. McQueen's supposed to go number 5. And Wu's supposed to go number 15. But then again, the mock draft is rarely ever accurate in this game. So I want to take McQueen and then have Wu go right after him. Because I was thinking possibly taking McQueen here and then seeing if I could trade for another pick. Like, let's say number 13 to try to trade for Wu. But I get the feeling he's going to be taken before that. Just because he's one of the highest potentials currently available. And he's the highest potential skater, for that matter. And he's pretty close to being NHL ready as well. Yeah, I think I'm going to take Wu. I'm going to take Wu. As much as I hate to pass on Roger McQueen, because he looks like he's going to be a really good forward. But we are in need of defense a little bit more than we are in need of wingers at the moment, because obviously with Lotnia, and then not to mention all of our other winger prospects that we have, Stenberg, Peter, both of them a 3.5 star. Then you have Boo, 3.5 star. Thibodeau, he's pretty good offensively. And then, of course, we have a plethora of the centers that could possibly move to the wing, such as Linus Eriksson, who's a 2-star talent with 4.5 star potential. Whereas besides Juricek and Kiviharju, we don't really have much in the way of potential on defense. So yeah, before I change my mind, Jonas Wu, welcome to Nova Scotia. Now I'm going to simulate a few picks here because I don't think I could get any of these picks within the top 10. But if I could possibly get McQueen at, let's say, number 11 with Dallas's pick, I highly doubt. I think he goes within the next 2 or 3 picks. But if he is still there, then I think I would have to consider trading for a pick for him. Sim pick? Yeah, I figured. Roger McQueen. He goes to Columbus. And let me guess, Eklund is next? No? Okay. Oren Laureano goes to Arizona. Number 7, you have Ryan Rubrick. At 8, you have Tomas Misa, that 4.5 star goaltender, going to Pittsburgh. At number 9, you have Oscar Lindegren. At number 10, you have Julian Guerin to Calgary. So Victor Eklund is still there. I mean, he's good, but he's not the kind of player who I'd be willing to move up for. But I guess that being said, I do still have to trade Ellis, Moore, and Pearson anyway. I have found a trade for Tanner Pearson here. I could send him to Montreal for a 3rd, and that's probably all I'll be getting for him, to be honest, because he wasn't all that impressive last season. Only 29 points. Now, he did have 63 the year before, but that does seem to be a bit of an anomaly, considering the past 4 years. That's by far his best point total. Oh, okay, we would have to get some salary cap back in return. So then, never mind. I guess we're keeping Pearson for right now, unless I could find another salary to take on. Oh, right. I almost forgot. I wanted to trade for Brandstrom, so we may as well check on that. Is he still there? Yep, he's still there. Okay. So what's interesting here is they actually have a need for right defenseman, so I guess they're looking to move a left defenseman for a right defenseman. So I'll send them Ellis. I'll also include Trevor Moore. I'll try retaining 50% of Ellis's cap, because it's only for 2 years. I don't mind that. And besides, we have plenty of cap space. And so even with Brandstrom on the trade block, that's not even close to enough based off their reaction there. Ooh, that's a little too much. I just added a 1st and a 2nd to the trade, and they're still like very, very hesitant about moving Brandstrom. Yeah, that's not happening. That is not happening. Never mind. I thought because Brandstrom was on the trade block that I might be able to get him a bit easier. And that might very well be the case, but unfortunately, it's still way too much for my liking. So I'm going to say no to that. Yeah, I think any trades might have to hold off until after the draft. At least any trades for the players who are on the trade block in Ellis, Moore, and Pearson. Because I can't make any trades with them without taking on any more cap in return. And there's no one really besides Brandstrom who I was interested in that had any kind of cap. And obviously a Brandstrom trade is not happening. All right, you know what? I'm going to make an exception for Jacob Chychrun. Because not only do we need to get some salary cap on board here, but his grade has been very good, even on Arizona. And Arizona has not been too good in the simulation from what I remember. Like his defensive ratings are pretty good. Physical, very good. Mental, very good. Offensive, decent. Because he'll probably still be good by the time we're good as a team. And we do need a fair bit of help on defense. I really would prefer not to take away playing time from guys like Juricek and Fascia Kiviharju, but I really think Jacob Chikrin would make a nice mentor for them. Because if I'm being honest, Ryan Ellis has not filled that role very well, considering he's only played 18 games for us, and 3 points. He was one of those who spent a lot of time injured. And I might even see if I can move Ellis at some point, but for right now, we need him for his cap hit. So I'm going to offer Chikrin. He wants $7 million for 6 years. I'm not a fan of the term there. What if I did 7.5 for 5 years? It's looking like he might be set on 6 years there. How about this? I'll do 4 years for $8 million. Ugh, he's really coming down on his asking price. He really wants that 6 years. I really hope I can get you on 4 years here, Chikrin. I'll do 8.25 for 4 years. Yeah, he wants that 6-year deal. He's not budging on that at all. He's now down to 6.87 for 6 years. All right, fine, I'll do 6 years. 6.9 for 6 years. There it is. So at least we got him to come down on his asking price a little bit, but still, I definitely would have preferred 4 years deal. But he's not going to accept that offer right away, obviously, so we're going to have to go through the drafts without making any trades here. At least none that involve roster players, you know? So I think we'll simulate up to our second first-round pick, which will be Phillies at 27. I think I'll go with Nikita Makarov here. 1-star ability, 3-star potential. Nothing special defensively. His offensive category is pretty good, though, so I'll take him. Carter Klippenstein looks pretty good defensively as a center. 2.5-star potential, half-star ability. Yeah, I think he honestly might be the best player available now at this point, because we're only in the second round, and it is not looking favorable as far as players who are even close to NHL ready. Ivan Ryabkin looks pretty interesting offensively. 16 passing, 16 shooting accuracy, 16 offensive read. So between these two, would I rather take the defensive center or the offensive center? I'll take the 6'3" defensive center, I think, first. And if Ryabkin is still available with our next pick, then I'll take him. And nope, looks like he was taken because the draft list is now empty. Most of these players really are not catching my eye anymore. So I think I'll just take the 3-star goaltender, Kaiturov. Yeah, I think I'm going to skip the rest of the draft. This really is not a deep one, unfortunately. All right, so we are here at the end of the preseason. I do have one trade to make before we get going with the regular season, and it will be to the Montreal Canadiens. We will be receiving Alexander Milevsky from them in exchange for Ryan Ellis at 50% of his salary retained, the rights to Marcus Loppanen, and a 3rd-round pick. Milevsky is a 3-star ability, real nice offensive center there, and I figured it is time to start really improving this team. You know, I don't want to have this year be like the past 3 or 4 seasons. And Ellis has only played 18 games so far with us, and he's very injury-prone, as we see by his injury tendencies. Then, of course, not to mention he's 34, so I'd rather give his ice time to Kiviharju, Fascia, Yurichek, and it's part of why I decided to get Chikrin as well in the offseason. Unfortunately, he didn't have the greatest preseason, but I'm expecting that grade won't carry over into the regular season. I hope, at least. Especially considering his past grades with the Arizona Coyotes. I mean, he had almost 80s for 4 years straight with Arizona. I don't see why he wouldn't get at least close to that. Even the 1-star Vlasic has a 72 defensive grade, so I'm expecting much more from Chikrin. And there it is. The Montreal Canadiens have accepted the trade offer of Ryan Ellis at 50% of his salary retained, a 3rd-round pick, and the rights to Marcus Loppanen in exchange for Alexander Milevsky. Will complete the trade. So for the time being, Milevsky is on the 3rd line with Pearson and Nemesnikov. I think eventually he'll move up to the 2nd line, especially considering Pajot only has 1 year left on his deal, and I don't think I'm going to be re-signing him. I mean, I might, depending on the year that he has, but he's 32 years of age, so I would like to move in a bit younger direction there for our 2nd-line center. I mean, unless Nemesnikov takes over as the 2nd-line center, that would be actually better than Milevsky taking over as the 2nd-line center and just keep Milevsky as the 3rd-line center. And then, of course, Jaeger as the 1st-line center. So I think with that being done, we are ready to go to move on to the regular season. Have one more look at the roster before we go into it. We got Swayman and Ivanov in goal. This year's going to be key for Swayman because the past 2 years have not been kind to him. And with Ivanov's performance last year, I think Swayman might be trade bait if he continues on the trend that he's been going and if Ivanov continues what he did last season. Then on defense, you have Chikrin, Liljegren, Yurichek, Graves, Kiviharju, Fascia, and Vlasic. Vlasic's here out of necessity, unfortunately, because of his no movement clause, but luckily it's only a 1-year deal. Then at forward, you have Ladnia, Jaeger, Saad, Pearson, Pajot, Ingram, Milevsky, Lekarimaki, Moore, Peterka, Nemesnikov, Peter, and Stenberg. Oh, right. And then on the injury list, we have Fabro and Zetterberg. Of course, Zetterberg is still going to be out until probably January, but Fabro is ready to go back to the active roster. So this is interesting. Currently, it's the opposite of what happened last season in goal. Swayman with a .937 save percentage in 9 games, and an Ivanov in 13 games with an .895. Scoring-wise, we definitely need improvement. Yeah, we're near the bottom of the league in goal scoring. Goals against per game were, I guess, middle of the league, so that's an improvement, but not good enough for sure. Power play, not good as expected. Penalty kill, middle of the league, 80%. Oof. Unfortunately, Ivan Lodnia goes down for 1 to 2 months here in the middle of December. That is not a good injury. He currently has 35 points in 40 games too. And you know what? We're actually doing pretty all right as of late. If we take a look at our schedule, we've won more games than we've lost this month. Only 2 games lost, as a matter of fact, so far in December. Had a bit of a losing streak back in November. But even then, in November, we won more games than we lost. So we're currently sitting with a winning record, 21, 17, and 2. Obviously, it's not a good winning record, but it's still nonetheless, by definition, a winning record. And we sit 8th in our division. 44 points in the Metro would be good enough for 3rd. We're 8th in the Atlantic. Wow. Milevsky's been really good. He's got 31 points in 39 games. Currently leads our team in scoring. Well, of course, obviously Lodnia does with 35 points in 40 games, but now that he's shelved for the next 1 to 2 months, sort of going to be leading on the likes of Milevsky to lead our team. Goaltending-wise, it looks like Ivanov's picked it up. He's got a .907 save percentage now. Not where I'd like him to be still, but better than he was before. And then Swayman in 16 games with a .934. So he's been good. I don't know why coach has gone with Ivanov so much. I guess it's just because of his age and potential. Oh yeah, his potential is way up there now, 5-star. So overall, I think I like the way we're trending. Obviously, the injury to Lodnia is going to hurt, but I don't think there's really much for me to do right now in the way of moves. Unfortunately, with the way the roster is right now, I think it's just about patience and waiting for our younger guys to develop properly. So we're on January 1st now. Once again, December was actually pretty good for us as a team. We're now 27, 18, and 2, and we are 5th in the division. Where do we sit in terms of the wild card? We are in the 2nd wild card currently, only barely though. But we are certainly playing much better. I would say this is probably the best hockey we've been playing so far as a franchise. Look at that, Otto Stenberg, the rookie, currently with 38 points in 42 games played. So he's stepped it up big time for sure in the absence of Ivan Lodnia. So I guess if you're looking for a silver lining out of that injury, I guess it's that. Milevsky with 35 points, 31 for Peterka, 30 for Jaeger, Ingram with 28. So some young guys stepping up big time here in the absence of our best offensive player. Ivanov continues steady with a .908 save percentage. So overall, I'm kind of impressed, not gonna lie. At least compared to where we've been the past 3 or 4 years or so, you know? Yeah, this is by far our best season. Like, we're almost at our franchise record for wins, which, I mean, obviously that's not saying much, but we're only about halfway through the season. We have a very real chance of getting, I would say, if we continue on this pace, we have a chance of getting 45 wins, I would say. All right, so we're here basically at the trade deadline. We are 38, 24, and 2, so we've had a very good run over the past couple of months, really. As we take a look at the schedule, we haven't had too many games this month because I believe it is the Olympics that are taking place. And as we go back to January, I believe we only lost 4 games in January total. Vegas, Calgary, Tampa, and St. Louis. Every other game was a win. December, we only had 3 losses: Arizona, Ottawa, and Pittsburgh. So we've been on an awesome run for the past couple of months. However, if we take a look at the standings, we are 6th in the Atlantic Division with a record like this. Are you kidding me? 38, 24, and 2, and we're 6th? We have 78 points. We'd be 2nd in the Pacific, 2nd in the Central, 2nd in the Metro. We are 6th in the Atlantic Division. May I point out that we are currently 9th in the league, and we currently sit outside the playoffs. Wow, that's tragic. So if we're going based off conference standings, we're in the playoffs, but unfortunately, that is not the way it works. That's terrible. I mean, yeah, as we've seen, we've had a good run. We've had a really good run the past 2 months, but unfortunately, So has basically the rest of our division, as we see Buffalo 36-19-9, Tampa 38-20-6, Ottawa 39-21-5, Toronto 40-20-4, and then Florida's 43-17-6, and then Detroit right behind us, who are in 7th, have 76 points. They're only 2 points behind us. They could very well catch us. They're 35-23-6. Basically, the only team that's really out of it in the Atlantic is Boston. And even them, they have a winning record by definition. They're 29-28-8. They have more wins than regulation losses. So this division, man, I'm not sure if I've seen anything like this. Like even Detroit would be second in every other division. That's wild. Montreal, who are in 8th in the Atlantic, would be second in the Metro. So as we take a look at the player stats, Stenberg, the rookie sensation with 57 points in 59 games played, leads our team. And yeah, this is his first season. Just confirming. This is his first season. He hasn't even spent any time in the NHL prior to this year. So I would imagine there is your Calder favorite right there. Ivan Lodnia with 54 points in 51 games, so over a point per game player now at this point in his career. Alex Milevsky, 52 points in 63 games played. He was a great acquisition for Montreal. Jaeger with 45 points, Peterka with 43, Ingram with 41. Our team is growing. They're doing some phenomenal offensive growth this season. Liljegren with 36, Lekarimäki with 34, same for Nemesnikov, 31 for Peter in 53 games, Yurichek with 30, Saad and Kiviharju with 30 as well, 28 for Moore, 27 for Chikrin, 23 for Fabro, 21 for Pajot, 14 for Pearson, 14 for Fascia, 13 for Graves, Vlasic with 2 in 6 games, and then in goal you have Ivanov in 47 games with a 907, and Swayman in 21 games with a 926. So there's, honestly, as we've seen, we're pretty good. We are honestly pretty good. It's just the rest of our division is insane. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. We are 4th in league scoring. And our goals against per game is not bad either. I mean, it could be better for sure, but we're 17th in the league out of 33 teams, so we're middle of the pack. Power play could definitely be better. We're 20th in the league with a 19%. Penalty kill, we're 13th in the league with an 80.4. So yeah, there's definitely still some areas where we could be better, but the simulation of the past couple of months, it's been really good for us. So I can only imagine that all those team stats are rising from earlier on in the season. So I don't feel the need to make any trades right now, honestly. It's just some absolutely unfortunate luck that our division is as good as it is. Because we really are having a good season. It's just the playoffs are out of our reach at the moment. I mean, it's certainly still possible we make the playoffs, but it's going to be one heck of a task for sure with how competitive our division is. Now, there are some young players who I would like to bring up at some point, like Delbel Belus. He's a 3-star talent currently, and he's still in the AHL. I would love to bring him up. However, I don't want to ruin what's been good for us over the past couple of months, you know? Like, we have a chance to make the playoffs here. I would rather attempt to make the playoffs this year for the first time than sell off some of our veterans like Pearson. I mean, I know Pearson hasn't had the greatest impact this year, but still, he's been a part of the winning recipe that we've had for the past couple of months. And it's not like we could trade away his salary anyway. We're basically at the cap floor, so unless we acquire another big contract, then there's not much we can do about that. So I think making any trades this year at the trade deadline would just complicate things. I think I'll wait until the draft or free agency to do anything about that. Because we have a lot of veteran contracts expiring this year. Graves, Fabro, Pearson, Moore, Saad, Pajot. So that's going to make a lot of space for the young guys that are up and coming, like Delbel Belus, Linus Eriksson as well. He's got 2.5-star talent. Alexander Zetterberg, who was injured for a good portion of the season. He just recently came back, I believe. So I had to send him down to Utica to hopefully get him back up to speed because he had a significant 10-month injury. So with that big of a setback, I figured it would be good to get him down to Utica for a little while. But next season, I do want to bring him up and possibly convert him to a winger because at center, we're just way too... we have way too many young players who are looking to make their mark. So as a result of that, I don't think veterans like Pearson or Moore or Saad or Pajot are going to be coming back next season unless they have a tremendous performance late in the season here. I might keep Moore depending on how much he wants. But then again, I really want the young talent to get some time, so probably not. Anyway, I think we could safely advance past the trade deadline and just go the rest of the season. Now, I hope we can make the playoffs with this team. It would be such a shame if our best season by far, 9th in the league for points, and we don't make the playoffs. That would be, I really hope that this team could pull through and somehow pass Buffalo or Tampa and make a push for the playoffs here, because for this young team, getting into the playoffs would be a huge boost of confidence. And to have a season like this just to not make the playoffs would just be crushing. We are 47, 29, and 3, and we still sit outside the playoffs. This division's insane. I mean, look at this. And we still could very well make 100 points as well. But we're currently sitting outside the playoffs. Montreal lost a bit of steam there, so did Detroit, but we've been on the same pace that we've been since December. And we still are not in the playoffs. The 9th best record in the league. That's absolutely insane. Literally any other division, we're in second. We're in second in the Pacific, second in the Central, second in the Metro. But nope, we're 6th in the Atlantic. That's crazy. Goaltending's been fine. 910 save percentage for Ivanov, 922 for Swayman, 70 points for Stenberg. He's looking to continue his Calder-worthy season. 67 points for Lodnia in 66 games, over a point per game. We've been great. But unfortunately, other teams have also been great in our division. Powerplay were 15th in the league, 20.8. Penalty kill were 7th in the league with an 82.3. So both powerplay and penalty kill have gotten better since we last checked. Basically, we got to win all 3 of these last games against Seattle, Buffalo, and Winnipeg. It seems to even have a chance at the playoffs. That would be 50 wins. That would be 50 wins. And I'm still not sure if we would make it. That's crazy. Wow. I think we might have just made the playoffs. 49, 30, and 3 is our final record. 101 points. Tampa tied us for points. And we just clinched the second wild card. Wow. I don't know. It's going to be close for the Calder, man. Isaac Howard with 43 goals this year on Arizona, 68 points. Stenberg with 38 goals, 72 points. It's going to be a close one. So that's not as much of a shoo-in as I initially thought. I can't see Mcqueen making it. I mean, he's still having a really good season, 31 goals, 55 points. But it's definitely between Stenberg and Howard. I honestly can't say who would get it. I really can't. Like, that's going to be close. A 43 goal score compared to a 38 goal score, 72 points, there's very little difference. I mean, Howard had the minus 22, Stenberg plus 17. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure who I'd give it to. I mean, obviously, I hope Stenberg wins it, but that's going to be close. And in our first ever playoff series, we face off against the 53, 20, and 9 New York Rangers, who also happen to be the President's Trophy winners. So that's a great test. First playoff series ever. We get the best team in the league as far as regular season record goes. So I honestly couldn't have thought of a more difficult way to start out our first playoff run ever. However, if we can prove to beat these guys, we can beat anyone for sure. So I think with that, I'll end things off here. And in the next one, we will do the Year 5 playoffs, the first ever playoffs in Nova Scotia Supernovas history.